Welcome back to the Nick Bartlett Show, everyone. Today we are doing the exact same thing as last week. I'll be giving you my picks for the top four games in the West on the spread, as well as the over/under. I do a limited winner-loser picks because I also release my fearless predictions, which is where I break down 10 games in the West Coast in written format. That'll also be released tomorrow. So I don't go 10 deep. I just do four weekly. So you'll kind of get the gist of it the more you're here. And as always, please remember to like and subscribe. I'm grinding out here, y'all. I'm grinding, so it'd be pretty sweet. I'm just saying, it'd be kind of nice. It'd be kind of nice. And in all seriousness, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm a senior writer at superwestsports.com and oregonsportsnews.com as well. I've had work published a wide variety of places. You can look it up yourself. So starting with the first game, again, not the marquee matchups out west this week, but still some fun matchups for sure. First one we're gonna hop into here is Arizona State versus Mississippi State. Rest in peace to my cousin. He was an ASU alum, so I'll always maybe have a special place in my heart for that school. We'll see. We'll see how I pick this week. But hopping into it, so first thing here is just looking at ASU. Had an extremely successful campaign last year. Yeah, but that was last year. I'm not necessarily sold on them this year, but we're really about to find out who they are in 2025. The Sun Devils look decent in the opener, but they never necessarily put the kill shot in Northern Arizona. They won handily for sure, but they should have done a little bit better. Specifically, if you're kind of thinking of this team as a BCS playoff team, you wouldn't expect a team like NIU to even make it. It wasn't close, but to even hang around at all. So another thing to consider in that opener is they also had 12 penalties against the Lumberjacks. They're going to need to clean that up a little bit. The matchup this week against Mississippi State is actually a rematch from last season. Cameron Scadaboo absolutely dominated the game. He had 298 yards on the ground. And I'm thinking here if ASU is going to get another victory, they're going to need a little bit of a more balanced attack. Obviously, Miss State was embarrassed. SEC team that got almost rushed on by a single guy for 300 yards, or excuse me, a combined 300 yards from running back. That's not good. They remember that. They don't like that. They don't like that at all. So if you're looking at kind of the keys here, I think ASU will need to have more balance in attack, whether that's Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, whatever that may mean. The Bulldogs did hold Southern Miss to 3.0 yards per carry in the opener. So it looks like they're putting a little bit more of an emphasis on stopping the run. Granted, I understand that's Southern Miss. I understand that's not ASU, but we're in the early season, and it is a noteworthy stat. 3.0 yards per carry is pretty solid. Another thing to consider for last year's matchup was that ASU took a 24-point lead into the break, so they were crushing them. I would imagine that Blake Shapen, he's the quarterback of Miss State, and the rest of his team, they got to remember that on some level, I understand that ASU's favored in this game, but on some level, the talent level isn't that different. And you would imagine that the Bulldogs are just pissed. Like they're coming back. They're coming back. So Shapen performed well statistically, but again, as I mentioned, his team got killed, so who cares? Even though Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson are probably the best players on the field, I just think SEC road games are different. I've been consistent with this over 5-10 years. I love West Coast football. A little bit different vibe when you go down south. I know that ASU is technically in the Big 12 now, so they kind of have some Southern affiliations if you want to face it that way. It ain't the SEC. Even if you're getting a struggling down Mississippi State team, this is an SEC game. Be ready. That's religion down there. That is religion. They are ready. So again, I know ASU's favored by 6.5 points. This is a very, very tough matchup. Kind of some other things to consider in this matchup. I'm going to throw some kind of fun facts at you now, and then we'll hop into the pick and move on to the next game. So the Sun Devils have a 79% total production retention, and that's why they're kind of so highly favored this year. They return a lot, specifically after winning the Big 12 last year. So that is why people are so high on them. Some general information about this game, as I touched on, just nothing big. The Sun Devils are 0-2 all-time on the road versus SEC opponents. 1-6 overall against the conference. 1-6 overall against the SEC. Again, this is not a gimme. While both teams are coming off some big victories in week one, winning by 10 points or more. That stat, I don't care about that stat. That ain't important at all. So see if there's anything else noteworthy. I don't want to just give you pointless information. Yeah, I'd say nothing else is really too noteworthy in this matchup. I'd say, with the exception of potentially the injuries, I would say that Mississippi State has a little bit more injuries. They could be without Luke Work, offensive guard. Starting quarterback Jet Jefferson is still kind of questionable. And talking about Work, there was some optimism. And starting tackle Blake Steen was injured in the first half of the season opener, and his status is also up in the air. So they're kind of a little bit injured, not terribly, but enough pieces where it might impact the game a little bit. And the final one is defensive lineman Jamil Burrows will actually be available with the team, with not traveling with the team last week, so he'll be back. For ASU, nothing big in terms of injuries. I think they're expected to miss. No one really completely out of the game. You got a couple players who are kind of questionable: Ben Coleman, Max Eshenankor, Jalen Moss, and another defensive lineman. So ASU not really struggling too bad in terms of the injuries. The injuries are going to affect Mississippi State a little bit more, but nothing catastrophic for either team. Just going back to last year, I think it might be noteworthy to say that Sam Levitt, this is just extra stuff because I'm a nerd. Sam Levitt was only 10 for 20 last year, 69 yards. But as you mentioned, Scadaboo absolutely decimated Miss State. Levitt did add 2 rushing touchdowns, so he did make his impact felt, but nothing, he didn't really do too much. So I think that's pretty much it. Again, I don't like boring you down with stupid, just pointless facts. To me, that's just dumb. So don't you love how kind I am? So to summarize this game, if you didn't pick up on it, this is an SEC territory. SEC territory, no joke. They take balls seriously. It is religion. It's life. It's crazy. Yeah, you get it. And ASU, again, I just think is a little bit overrated this year. My cousin went to ASU. I got a lot of love for this school. I just think they're a little overrated this year. So I don't think ASU will cover the 6.5 spread. I actually don't know if they're going to win this game, but hey, that's for Fearless Predictions, y'all. Y'all got to read the Fearless Predictions to get that one. And I'm going with the under at 58.5. I think the ASU will struggle to score more than they realize. Mississippi State's defense is not going to allow another 300-yard rusher, combined yards, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's going to be a tight, ugly SEC affair. So again, I would pick the under, and I do not think ASU will cover. That is for sure the biggest game this week. That's why I really kind of gave you all the nerdy extra notes, but everything else kind of small fries out here. But I like football, so hey, let's get to it. Why not? Next game I'm going to talk about is going to be either Oregon State and well, in my notes, UCLA, UNLV's next, so we're doing that. How about that? So next game is going to be UCLA versus UNLV. UCLA is entering this contest as 2.5-point favorites, over under at 54.5. And UCLA got mollywapped last week, y'all, so they're going to be mad. So I just don't know if anyone actually expected UCLA to get whooped the way they did last week. If Utah's really that good, now if Utah's for real, like old school Utah, Kyle Whittingham, that loss can be forgiven. But the key to the Bruins season going forward is going to be their next 3 contests. Nico Imalala-Vela, I'm still working on that one, guys. He didn't come to LA to lose. He's just not. And he'll be looking to rebound against UNLV. He threw for 138 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception in the opener. The limited production is not really his fault. It seemed like he was able to make a couple plays when he actually had time, but I mean, they got killed. And he was in the college football playoff last year. I understand that football is the ultimate team sport. It takes more than one player to win. But if you're really that big of a deal, your team should have played better. I understand you're under constant pressure. I get it. It's hard. But you that good, do better. Don't get blown out. You didn't travel from Knoxville across the country to LA to get freaking decimated by the Utes. And so we're thinking in this UNLV matchup, because now I went on a little rant and got away from my notes here. Let's go back to the notes. That's where the good stuff actually is. I'm thinking that Nico should have a little bit more time against the Rebels because their defensive line is inexperienced. If you've been following my writing or reading all year, writing or videos all year, they literally have an entirely new defensive line and offensive line. For this instance, we're talking about the defensive line, which you're thinking is going to help UCLA really just take it. I think UCLA is going to be able to take advantage of it. Again, you got an experienced quarterback. Deshaun Foster is an NFL running back, so you're thinking the backs are going to find some rhythm. And I think UCLA was generally humiliated last week. When I looked at that score, I was like, what the heck is going on? And this isn't UNLV from last year. So UNLV hasn't looked amazing in their first two outings. Still 2-0. I think, as I've been saying, as long as they can keep winning and surviving, they're doing their thing. They got to 2-0, and even a loss here, they're in a good spot. They did not kind of let any games go by the wayside, even though their opener against Idaho State was ugly. A win's a win, baby. Al Davis. This team has a new head coach, signal caller, and really lost most of their notable players on defense. Anthony Colandrea, he's been all right. He's been decent so far. He's thrown for 444 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception in their first 2 outings. Jaden Thomas is for sure their best player on offense. He's explosive at the halfback position. But again, this is where Deshaun Foster, NFL running back. Jaden Thomas is good. He's not Adrian Peterson good. So I'm thinking Deshaun Foster should be able to scheme up something. UCLA's defense was really, really good against the run last year, even though they might have struggled a bit against Utah. I think they were top 10 in the nation. I had the stat last week. I think it was like number 6 in regards to yards per carry on the ground. So they should have a good run defense again. That's pretty much it for this week. Again, this isn't like a super notable game. If you like West Coast football, it's meaningful enough. Obviously, you got the big markets in Vegas and LA. I do think the Bruins are just a better team here, and they're hungry. I'm actually really surprised this is only a 2.5 or 2.5 point spread. I think UCLA will easily cover, and at 54.5, I picked the over because I think UCLA is going to put up at least 35, 40 points. I think they are coming to play. So no other final notes on this one. This game isn't too big of a deal. If UCLA wins, then you would expect, things are kind of back to the normal. If UNLV wins, then it actually is kind of a big deal because now the Rebels are 3-0 and actually looking like a legit force in the Mountain West for the second year in a row. And that'd be a fast start for Dan Mullen. This would be a huge win for UNLV. For UCLA, it's more of a right to ship. If UNLV gets it, they're for real again. So just to clarify one final time for those of you of selective hearing, as my mom always told me I had, and my teachers and pretty much everyone else in life, UCLA will cover the spread, and I think that you should definitely pick the over at 54.5. I think that UCLA is going to run up a lot of points on this UNLV defense. Again, 5 new defensive linemen. They were actually pretty decent last week, but they haven't faced any real competition yet. So I think they get exposed against the Bruins. Next game, as I was kind of alluding to before, would be Oregon State, Fresno State. Talking about a team who just looked abysmal last week. That was the Beavers. I'm upset by the Beavers. I actually picked them to be 9-3 before the year started. So they kind of got a win to make me look good here. Oregon State. Also cover you guys for Oregon Sports News. So don't make me look bad on 2 sites, Beavers. I need y'all, man. What happened? I thought Malik Murphy came in with a 9-3 record, and y'all playing like trash. All right, that was rude. But the bottom line about football, they do have a chance to respond this week. They got Fresno State in Corvallis, and this is actually again the game before this. You got the LA Vegas markets. It's obviously gonna draw more eyeballs, more media attention. To me, this is actually the better football game. Fresno State at Oregon State. A lot of just interesting aspects. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, and I think it should be fun. So, it should prove one of the more intriguing games of the week. Oregon State, again, just desperate for a victory. They wanted to beat Cal more than anything. There's no other way to say it. I mean, Cal beat them 44-7 a year ago, and so to lose them twice in just blowout fashion, it's not good. It's not good. Not good at all for their fans and for their reputation, quite frankly, particularly when the Beavers are still probably a little bit mad. As a Cougar myself, the Beavers are still probably mad about being left out of a Power 5 conference. And when you let Cal run, you can't say that. We're in a new era. I'm not going to say that's inappropriate. If you let Cal run a car on you, if you get what I'm saying there, y'all, then I think it's pretty obvious why Oregon State, unfortunately, did end up technically in the Pac-12 or whatever, but in a Group of 4 conference as far as I'm concerned. So, looking at Oregon State's obviously desperate for victory after their opening week debacle. The Beavers made countless mistakes, and that's one thing that I think why I'm still high on Oregon State. I would completely write them off and say I was wrong if they just basically gotten beat. But they really screwed themselves time and time again. And They even threw a pick six in the end zone that got called back for for defensive pass interference. They were really trying to lose the game, it felt like. So, yeah, against Fresno State, Malik Murphy does need to perform. OSU loses this contest. Their season really could prove unmanageable. They're falling to matchups against Texas Tech and Oregon. And if this team falls to 0-4 after the terrible season they had last year, confidence is going to fall aside. Trent Bray, the players aren't going to buy in. So this is actually a must win. This is legitimately a must win for the Beavers early in the year. Based off what we saw in the opening week, they're probably not going to win in Lubbock, and they're certainly not going to knock off their rival, the Ducks. So this is a big, big game for them. In terms of actual kind of statistical production, for those of you who aren't too familiar with Fresno State, E.J. Warner is their quarterback. He's the son of former NFLer Kurt Warner, former NFL Super Bowl champion Kurt Warner. But E.J. has not found his rhythm yet in the Valley. He's only thrown for 355 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in his first 2 matchups. I'm not double reading the spread here. I'm double reading the strat. Listen, double reading the strat, apparently. I like the word strat. That's the word I say in my hometown. But double reading the stat here is Warner has thrown for 355 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in his first 2 matchups. That's going to get better. I don't want to harp on the kid. I actually think he's going to be really good, but that's tough. That's not a good start. It's not what he was looking for, even if Fresno did get a nice victory last week against Georgia Southern. As mentioned last week against the Eagles, basically the halfback tandem of Bryson Donaldson and Rayshawn Luke took over the game. They combined for 263 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. It's hard to imagine that the Beavers kind of allow that to happen, at least not at that big a clip. So we are going to need something from E.J. Warner. It seems like he can move the ball a little bit, but again, just 4 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. And you faced Georgia Southern last week, you couldn't have gotten 1. So we're gonna need something out. Fresno's gonna need something out of E.J. Warner if they're really looking to pull off this upset. Particularly when you have an angry Beavers defense after getting embarrassed by Jaron Sagapalooza last week and making him the talk of the nation. Well, Oregon State's still listening. They're like, well, we also threw like freaking every mistake in the book. And let me try and actually read you all these mistakes. So you truly get it. Cause I know that probably not everyone watched Oregon State versus Cal, but so essentially first drive of the game, Cal's first drive of the game, they had a too many men on the field penalty that basically extended Cal's opening drive, led to a touchdown. So right off the get-go, first drive of the year, instead of it being 0-0, it's 7-0. That's not the end of the world, but it hurts. Beavs then lost a fumble at the end of the second quarter, heading into the second half. They're trailing 14-3. So things are still manageable. You go get a field goal, you go get a touchdown, say what? Even a field goal, 14-6 at half, decent halftime score, right? Nope. Instead, they fumble. Cal recovers it, kicks a field goal, 17-3 at the break. Still not completely unmanageable. 2 touchdowns at home, not good, but you're in it. Then, then Malik Murphy threw a interception at the beginning of the fourth quarter when OSU was trailing by 15 points. He actually threw to the same guy. I think it's Means for Cal, who should have gotten it was the right call, but almost had the pick 6 in the end zone. So Means got him back at the beginning of the fourth quarter when OSU was trailing by 15 points, and that sealed the loss for the Beavers. And if you really, I didn't even include this in the writing on Fearless Predictions, I'll give you a little extra. And if you want to know how bad the opening week was for Oregon State, even on a rushing touchdown when Murphy was able to just, scramble in the end zone, he tripped on a ref and hurt his leg a little bit. I don't think it was anything long term, but a little nick in the short term. That's just what kind of day it was for OSU. Even when they were scoring a touchdown, their players were getting hurt. So just all around absolutely terrible. The injury to Darius Clemens, I think, really has hurt this team. He was going to be their second receiver. Him and Trent Walker were going to be 1 and 2. No particular order there. They were just the 1 and 2 guys. Trent Walker's still there, had a great opener, had a great opener. But without Darius Clemens, they don't have a second option. Taz Reddix wasn't able to step up. And if you're able to shade basically all your defense to Trent Walker, he's not a guy like Larry Fitzgerald where he's going to be double or triple teams. He can be single coverage for sure, and he can do it consistently, but not double or triple teams. They need to find a second guy or else it's going to be tough. Anything else here? I just say it's always important to look out for Anthony Hankerson when you're talking about the Beavers. I do think he's still a standout running back. Obviously, no one can help what happened last week, but he's just another name to consider. I think that's pretty much it for this game this week. Get you my picks here. Yeah, I just really want to make clear how many mistakes Oregon State made last week. They lose this week to Fresno State. Absolutely no excuses, none. I still think Cal's a little bit overhyped, just like ASU, because of all those mistakes. But give some credit to Cal's defense, and again, hopefully the Beavers play better this week. I do think they will play better. I'm picking them to cover the 2.5 spread, and I picked the over at 46.5. I think that Oregon State and Malik Murphy is going to bounce back again. He was 9-3 as the starter last year. Should be able to put some points on the board. And if you're the son of Kurt Warner, you're going to put points on the board eventually. I know you have, really had a tough 2 games, but I would imagine these guys easily break the 46.5 over under here. So again, I think OSU will cover, and I picked the over at 46.5 or at 46.5. And the last game I'm going to be doing this week, y'all. Last game. What do we got here? What do we got? Game number 4. Scroll up. I think it has to do with some transfers who transferred from Stanford to BYU. And really, this is a game I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because that's stupid. I mean, what do you guys think? It's a 20. BYU's favored by 20.5 points. I'm not going to give you a freaking 10-minute breakdown of this. But just really quickly, Stanford's probably excited to get back on the field after their week 0 loss at Hawaii. It was a really good buy for them. They needed this buy. Andrew Luck, Frank Reich, all of them, they needed this buy. Ben Goldbranson to figure things out. To compete against the Cougars, as I mentioned, I didn't mention it yet, but they need Ben Goldbranson to step up. The senior quarterback, he was 7-1 as a starter at Oregon State. And he actually led Oregon State to a victory over Oregon that year. He did absolutely nothing in the game, but 7-1 as a starter with a victory over a rival that was heavily favored. He can win. He can win. And I'm a big believer in winners. I don't really care about as much as stats. I'm a believer in winners. And 7-1 as a starter in the old Pac-12, he's legit, or he was legit. Has an opportunity to reprove himself this year with the Cardinal. It would also help if Micah Ford continues to make an impact. Ford rushed for under 13 yards and 1 touchdown in the opener. The Tree are still figuring out how to replace Alec Aomanar because he's gone in the NFL. And he was an absolute beast at wideout. They don't really have anyone who can make those one-handed catches at this point. He was sick. On defense, I mean, Matt Rose had a good game in the opener, 13 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. But again, this came in a loss against Hawaii, so this got overlooked. And Clay Patterson also chipped in 2 sacks at defensive tackle. So those 2 guys had a good opening game, but again, it just got kind of overlooked and overshadowed because they lost to Hawaii in just a really heartbreaking fashion. The game against the Cougars, it should prove rough. I mean, obviously Stanford lost Bear and Tiger Bachmeyer to BYU. BYU still has LJ Martin. They're just really, really heavily favored. But I will say for the Cardinal, if they can, even if they lose this week, they face Boston College and Virginia the next 2 weeks, and they could get back to 2-2, and in theory be 2-0 in the ACC and still in a good spot for their year. So as catastrophic as that opening week loss was to the Rainbow Warriors, the Bows, the Hawaii, one of my second favorite football teams of all time. Decipher that, get that in the ethics textbook. But yeah, bottom line, that Stanford really does have opportunity to actually fix their season, even with the loss here. The opening week loss was non-conference, which helps a lot. And it's not like Stanford had expectations for the college football playoff. So not that big of a deal if they can beat Boston College and Virginia. An upset against BYU would absolutely change everything. See if there's any other kind of notes I want for this game. Not really. Just LJ Martin rushed for over 100 yards in the opener. BYU literally killed whoever they played. They're up 49-0 at half. I think they won 69-0. You wonder if they stopped on that number on purpose, just like a little Mormon humor. They're like, I mean that with all love. I got love for all religions, but is that a little Mormon inside joke? The 69-0 score. But no, in all seriousness, seriously, all love to religions, but I ain't all PC, y'all. I like to joke on people. I joke on everyone equally, just so y'all know. But yeah, bottom line here, we don't got to spend more time on this game. You can see now I'm going off track because we all know that BYU is going to win. I actually think they will not cover the spread, though. I think because of the transfers of the Bachmeyer brothers that Stanford's going to be a little bit pissed. Also, because of their opening week loss to Hawaii, I think they're going to be pissed. I think the line's at 20.5 points. I'm scrolling through my notes right now trying to get the exact number for you, but I'm 90. My notes are attacking me here. Okay, let's go, guys. Let's get back up to the top. But yeah, so it is 20.5 points. And I just don't think BYU will cover. I'll give you this one. I still think they win easily. I don't think that's much of a surprise to anyone, but I don't think they'll cover. I think the Cardinal will actually make it reasonable. And with the over under, I'm going with the over. Yeah, I just think that again, Stanford's going to respond back and score some more points. And I also think that yeah, I just think that Stanford's going to really score some points, and BYU is a good enough offense where it pretty much speaks for itself. So over under is set at 45.5 points. I think that's a little bit low, and so I'm going with the over. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a high scoring game. I don't even know if they're going to crack the over by that much. I just think 45.5 is real low. So yeah, I think BYU, I don't think they'll cover, and I say pick the over. So that's going to be it for the Nick Bartlett Show this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in as always. I really appreciate your support. I like to joke around, but I'm generally take this seriously. I love college football, and I'm grateful for your support. So thank you guys for tuning in as always. This has been the Nick Bartlett Show. Stay tuned for Nick's Fearless Predictions coming next week, as well as other stuff, because I'm always doing random stuff here, there, anywhere, and all about. There's your Dr. Seuss rhyme for the day. Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you later.